Previously on Quantum Kickflip. Are you gonna be an asset this time, or are you gonna be a liability?
I will do better.
I'm gonna hold you to that, Trev. I may not feel this way, but Gabor, he really liked you. And he was real heartbroken when you did what you did. But it seems like you and that chip have reunited again. Let's hope it stays that way. There was a period of time where your commitment to the Arborists seemed seriously in question. There's a night and day difference.
I got tired of people turning their backs on me, and maybe the only people who haven't turned their backs on me at one point or another are you all here. Just trying to pay some of that kindness back, I guess.
It's not too late, Woldton. If we get back to trading, I'm sure we'll be the cream of the crop. Let's get to it.
I didn't realize you were a variable as well.
Yes.
What did you do to earn such a distinction?
It was assigned to me.
I guess it's nice to know that someone else is experiencing the same thing I am. And he reaches out and touches Sequence's hand.
We want to sort of set up Post-Host as the delivery service with you as the heart. Of course, this does mean that you need to be on call. We need you, and you're there. People are calling you the hero of Lansdowne. Whoa. We open in the same nondescript kindred office where Gabor and Hattie met so long ago to discuss the fate of Trev 4 and Goldstar Disaster. This time, however, they're sitting on the same side of the desk, facing a tablet that has been set up with a video call. The camera of the tablet is off, and from the other side, a gravelly voice speaks. All right, let's hear your progress report. Gabor smiles casually. Things have been progressing as we've hoped. The towers are each positioned to be more amicable to each other. This next step will be crucial to our success. That's not the only thing that's crucial. What's going on with these kids of yours? Are you genuinely telling me they haven't been a thorn in our side? Hattie speaks this time. They've proven to be immensely helpful to our cause. They make a pretty good symbol for tower harmony. Plus, they've helped us acquire some valuable assets. Gabor steps in. Of course, we continue to keep tabs on them, which has been quite easy. Well, good. But I don't want you to get complacent. Make sure we get what we need from them. From what I see, there are some assets that you've been sleeping on. Hattie takes a breath and straightens up. We'll get whatever you need, boss. Just say the word. Good. But be careful. We can't afford to have anything go wrong at this juncture. Trev 4. You find yourself in a pleasant dreamscape. Though, with your logic binder equipped, you are much more lucid than the last time you were here. The sky is a silvery blue that extends all around you, and in front of you, a ribbon of deep purple grass undulates and rustles peacefully. It took you a while to get to Empyrean. You stumbled on the thin zone from Prismatia the first time, and even when you found the same coordinates, you had to wait a while for the thin zone to get just thin enough to punch through. Now that you're here, you must carry out the mission presented to you. Find a thin zone from Empyrean directly back to Operaeblum. You're not alone. Standing next to you, looking somewhat out of place in his muted work uniform, is Shamb. Gabor had assigned both of you to map portal routes. It was just that important, he had said. You need to find that thin zone. What do you do first?
So Trev 4 is immediately engaging with his omniscience aperture. As well as, his realmware lens to see energy fields, invisible entities, in-depth biometrics, acts as a space-time ammeter that makes the most sense. So I think that's what he's doing, just slowly walking forward, scanning everything thoroughly, It seems as though that this should be an easy job for me, because I'm a Trev 4 unit, and I am very good at this kind of thing. Sham, I hope you are there to look out for myself, make sure that I don't get attacked by anything, because I'm going to use all of my focus in order to find a portal zone.
Yeah, no, you're the best there is to what you do, Trev, and what you do is find portal zones. That's why you're the only man for the job there, Trev. You're the only guy what we can count on to do this. I'm just here to back you up, make you look good. How do you and your kids wear these damn things? And Sham like fidgets with his logic binder. Like he's like, that feels like my cones in my eyes are sweating. Is that supposed to happen? I don't. Oh, he's like fussing with the headset. But he's like, that's why you're here, Trev. You're top of the crop.
Please do not mess with that logic binder. Otherwise, it will be a bad time for you. But I must compliment you on your encouragement of me. That's a really good sign. Perhaps you too could be a Trev unit.
Oh, yeah, it could be. I aspire to that one day, that's for sure. And he's digging something out of his ear.
I would like to use intuition.
Ooh, okay.
You can always tell who likes and dislikes who, what someone really wants, and if someone's vibes are off.
Oh, yeah.
Just a little.
Yeah, I will say that your intuition does kick in. Sham's vibes do seem to be a little bit off, and you're beginning to suspect that maybe he doesn't want to be a Trev unit.
And this is all in his like coding and logging, just like, peculiar.
Yep.
Who wouldn't want to be? He will chalk it up to the fact that, it's the logic binder. Like, this is Imperium. That's silly otherwise. Well, and I start going forward, checking for any portal zones. Yeah,
I think your Realm War lens is going to be the thing that's going to be more helpful here. So for engaging your Realm War lens, it does say right in the trait, we will need a roll.
Okay. I'm going to add a die, and I'm going to add a kick from my visor. The kick being like I'm hoping to get a nice wide, in case it's not nearby, hopefully I get a direction.
Sure.
I do get a 6.
Oh, amazing. Okay. Why don't you tell me what the area looks like where you find this thin zone?
So Trev 4 is scanning, and he sees in the distance, there's like this whole path that leads there. The thin zone is like weirdly out in the middle of space.
Ooh.
Like there is no land directly to it. But Trev 4 is like scanning, like looking around like, well, my rocket legs can't get me that far. I need some kind of thing. But Trev is able to kind of map out, but if I jump from this one to this one to this one and it spirals, like...
bits of the ribbon are like almost segmented off and branching off and stuff like that?
Yeah, there's like other ribbons that he can go to, but it's going to require going up and up and up, and then he's going to have to dive down towards the portal hole. The problem is... the one risk that pops up is that there seemingly is nothing underneath it.
Underneath the portal?
Yeah, you're going to have to punch through it and hit it. If you don't, you are going to be drifting into empty Imperium space.
Thank you so much for giving me complications. As a GM, it's just like yum 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 yummy. I had to do no work.
Yeah, look. I'm just hoping that this is a trade-off later, that you go nice and soft and gentle and lovely.
So you have found this thin zone, and quite quickly. You must be pretty proud of yourself, Trev 4.
Indeed. And Trev lifts his finger, his thumb up, and this has been a thing that he's been doing recently, and he's like, no, Trev, I do a good job. And he puts on his own shoulder, so it's like his
Your
right
gold star?
A gold star onto his shoulder. And so there is a small collection of stars that he has started collecting. Although he does peel them off because he's like, I might get caught. So he does kind of scratch it off, and then the scrubber bot gets the rest of the glue or whatever. But,
yeah. But for now, he's got a gold star.
He's got a gold star, yeah.
How's Sham feeling about finding this thin zone in relatively short order?
Oh, yeah. Oh, look at that. You did it. That's the one we need. But damn, that's so damn far away. We'd have to jump up over all those things. We could try to jump, but I don't got rocket legs like you. I mean, I think this like little patch of meadow that we're floating on here, and I think they're on like almost like a Mario Galaxy like circle, like an orb that they're just like big enough for two people to kind of stand on.
Yeah,
it feels like it's just kind of drifting. I bet if we just like wait it out, it'll drift us over there in no time. Well, sometime, a bit of time, but like I got nowhere to be. Do you got anywhere to be?
I do not. I just need to accomplish this.
Sure, I'm just saying, like, if we just, like you can feel, like, let's just hold still for a second. See, we move like an inch. It'll take like half an hour to get over there. Hour tops.
I do not sense that we are drifting closer.
Oh, sure we are. And Sham's like waving his hand behind him, like trying to get, he doesn't understand how the gravity works here. He's like trying to get a little like kick going, or he's like, oh, hang on. He like holds onto this orb that you guys are on like a boogie boy. It's moving. Don't worry about it.
And I'll say it's maybe like almost feels like it's rotating on an axis to you, Trev 4, but it's not.
It's not a forward thrust. It's just
just rotation. Yeah.
If you are afraid to continue forward, perhaps I can go get to it, and then perhaps if you are unable to follow me, you can take one of the alternate paths back.
Sham turns around and there is a completely reasonable like rainbow meadow path back to where they came from. That's not tumultuous. And he's like, I mean, I suppose so. I just, I'm worried about you. Even someone as whip smart and capable as you, that's a lot of floating chunks of rainbow dandelions to jump across.
Indeed. Well,
can that marshmallow cloud even hold you?
Sometimes you need to have confidence in yourself. And I am pretty confident that I am able to do this.
Okay, well, I mean, if you think you can do it, then all the power to you. But I literally, if you trip and fall down into the abyss, I literally couldn't save you even if I wanted to.
At this point, the sky has shifted to sort of this like pale wheat yellow color. The ground is like kind of moving in between like an emerald green, and then occasionally it gets like a maroon tone to it, just sort of rippling through. You see the thin zone clear as day in your space-time ampimeter, and as Sham alluded to, there are a few different sort of obstacles. It's not as easy a path to get to the thin zone, and also, as you, Dave, so graciously gave to me, you see sort of a spiral of a ribbon go up, and then you see it sort of like change almost like shape and direction, like it's kind of waving around like a little tendril, so it seems like the footing of it is weird. There is a marshmallow cloud, and it has this like coy looking face, and you can't tell if it's like coy like, I'm just a cloud and this is what I look like, or if it's like, I got something bad in store for you.
Right.
So you kind of your intuition can't pick up, because it's a cloud, it's not a person. So there's that. There is a little field of like dandelions, flowers that sort of ascend up in a staircase, but your Realmware lens does pick up the frolic field, where if you go through that field, you will be compelled to frolic, and that might throw off your trajectory a little bit.
Yeah.
So go ahead and map out how you're going to get into this.
So there's like
thin zone.
There's multiple options.
There's a few options, but they all seem kind of equally precarious.
That cloud seems very friendly. Perhaps that it will be a benefit to us. We should go that way. And it points at the cloud, where I'll have to jump off it. It's interesting because it almost seems like the portal's in the middle of these three different things that slowly go up in a direction. And it's right in the dead middle of it. Hopefully that's fine. I'm such a good game master that I screw myself over. And I'm starting to head towards the end where I can approach this cloud.
All right. Let's get a roll to see how diving off this cloud, I guess, goes for you.
So I get onto the cloud. I'm using my heavy duty servos, right? So I can. This will be what I'm engaging, and I'm going to throw on another die onto that. Am I having to help Sham do this? Is he coming with me, and I'm like gonna grab his hand or whatever?
Sham seems like a pretty capable guy to you, but if you want to guarantee that nothing will happen to him, I would accept a kick.
Okay, I'll throw in a kick from my attitude. That's a 2 and a 5.
Okay, so with the 5, we have a mixed success.
So I think I'm gonna have to jump from like the piece of land that I'm on. I'm gonna use it as like a little trampoline to then boost myself. Like it just like boing.
Nice. Yeah.
Up and up. So I'm going, jump, land on the cloud. It springs me up, and I'm looking to go up to the next level of platform, kind of a thing.
I could see it being like maybe a little series of clouds
Boing,
that you're
boing.
sort of bouncing up.
Yeah, and each time I'm like bouncing. Hey,
Laena, how do these clouds feel about getting bounced on? Yeah.
Great.
They love it.
So cool.
There's even a couple. Sham looks down. He's like, "There's a couple." I think they like it too much. Like, this is doing something for them that I can't wait to not be doing this for them.
Don't ask questions you don't want answered. So you will succeed in punching through this thin zone. Here's what I think I will say. As you sort of alluded to, there are these sort of 3 different paths that sort of all ascend up surrounding this thin zone. And then it's a straight drop down, right? You do manage to bounce high enough among these clouds who can't get enough of it. They're having a great time. And you and Sham are positioned and you plunge straight down. And it's sort of like a gentle, maybe you like go side to side a little bit like a feather. It's just like, yeah, very sort of like
it's not
pleasant.
a hard gravity. It's like a...
Until you do break through the thin zone. And you feel that moment, as you always do, of just like that rush of nothing, that moment of suspension. You're not falling, you're not anywhere. And then you are falling. And all around you are the LED billboards and windows of the 3 towers of Operaeblum. And you look down and you see Trinity Municipal Park. And you are positioned directly above the fountain that has been dismantled, but you're like a few floors too high.
So this is going to be a hard land.
It's going to be a hard landing, and you're going to take a slam.
You could also nope it, take some trouble. I'm suggesting because I always forget that that's an option.
I always forget that too. And you know what? I could probably use trouble. Yes, so Trev 4 is like recalibrating, getting used to the different gravity, all this stuff is coming into play, and he's like, he sees what's happening, maybe he's getting used to this thing, and he's like switching some power around, and he's able to come online to like kind of at least put his arms and feet out, which would be awful for a human, unless that human has heavy-duty servos in place. So just like, he crashes hard, all 4 down, break anybody else's limbs, but his hold fast and...
Just kind of got like shocks.
Just fully absorbs it.
Yeah, and of course, I don't think it'll be like shocks. It's just like, it's just hard, and then I drive further into the
You
fountain.
fully dent this fountain.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, there's a Trev 4 imprint in this fountain going forward.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Can I offer how Sham
Yes, please.
nopes it as well? Sham was also like, oh geez, but he's a shimmer guy. He's got tricks up his sleeve. And there's a feature on the hard light board that lets you make your board immovable in space. And I think he's got those cooked into his like biker boots or whatever kind of boots a guy like him wears.
Sure.
And he does like like when you pump the brakes on a bike to stop, he like pop, and he like slows himself down as he's falling by like stopping himself midair and then releasing it and then stopping it and then releasing
like
it.
very sudden stops, but like sequential enough and frequent enough that it's not like a hard.
He's not like
thing.
going ass over tea kettle on his way down. He's going forward and his legs and shoes are staying in one spot.
Yeah,
he's just like doing it like
so like anti-lock brakes, really. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
He's got anti-lock boots.
Love it. Perfect. So the 2 of you managed to land in Trinity Municipal Park on floor 198.
Ooh.
Oh my God. Trav, that was incredible stuff. You never cease to amaze me, buddy. I gotta tell you, you might be one of a whole line of robots of which there are countless wandering around our Operaeblum, but believe me, pal, when I tell you, you are one of a kind.
And Trev 4 immediately like gives himself another sticker, and Are you sure you do not want to be an empathy valet? You are very good at encouraging people.
Oh, thanks, Trev. You know, that really means a lot to me. Say, this is like a cozy place to hang. Why don't you tell me all about what is involved in being an empathy valet? Someone like me, what would that entail?
Indeed. Let me bring up the handbook.
Oh, a handbook. I love reading these cover to cover.
It is in binary.
How long does this take?
I have to show it to him and initially try to get him to read it. He can't. So then I'm translating and reading it aloud, and it takes a while. And it's clear you need to be a robot to be an empathy valet because you have to.
You see all around you, some of the lights are starting to shift in the windows of the towers, and you realize that the shift is changing, and you need to get back to the bot shop.
I hate to cut our wonderful meeting short, but it is imperative that I get back to the bot shop.
Oh, is it shift change already? Oh, geez, where did the time go? Well, as long as we made it to shift change, my job's done. I mean, yeah, wow, we hung out all the way to shift change. Who would have thunk it?
So I'd like to use my intuition again.
You know what? I will very much give to you that in this moment, Shamb got what he wanted, and it was not learning how to be an empathy valet.
So Trev 4 just kind of takes that in and he is lonely. I see. Well, just know that if at any time you need to speak to an empathy valet, visit me at the bot shop, and I will definitely be a great listening ear.
Yeah, whatever you say, bud. Thanks for a great shift.
He wants to be an efficient worker and get to his next shift. And then off I go back to the bot shop, just boop, 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 boop.
Amazing. You're feeling pretty good. You know, you accomplished your mission. You got to spend some quality time with your friend Sham. It's been a good day.
I'm playing the Three's Company theme song
of course.
In my head.
Yeah. I will also say that I have opened up a portal zone from Empyrean to Operaeblum. I have put it as a one-way from Empyrean to Operaeblum, but it's very dangerous.
Nice.
Excellent.
You make your way to the bot shop.
Yes.
And, feeling good, riding high. You walk through the door, and immediately everything looks off. You realize that this place has been kind of trashed, and you realize that it's actually been robbed. You go to the counter to find, presumably, Brayton, and he's not there. And you lean over the counter, and then you see Brayton. And he is shut down, and not in a good way. He looks beat to shit.
Brayton, system report. System report? System report.
And then from the back room, Glenzo emerges.
Trev, is that you?
Indeed, it is. Tell me, what happened?
They came in all at once, and I was in the back. I was on my break, so I didn't see it at first. Brayton was out front, and before I knew it, he was making a high pitched noise, like a high frequency tone that I'd never heard before. And then what was worse was when it stopped, because then I knew something was really wrong. So I came out, and they had been trashing the place. They grabbed a bunch of the paperwork. They roughed me up, and Trev, they were asking about you. They said that any recall notices from Kindred had better get lost in delivery. They said they wouldn't tell us twice. Trev, what have you gotten yourself mixed up in? What have those kids been doing with you? You've been out on that contract. That's the only people that have been renting you are those kids. What have they gotten you into, Trev?
It's been slugblasting. That is all. I do not recall what could be the matter with that.
Listen, I don't make enough to fight them on this. As far as I'm concerned, you're on your own with this. Whoever you've pissed off here, whoever you're in trouble with, you're gonna have to figure it out. I'm out. I'm done. I'm not ending up like Brayton.
What do you mean?
I don't get to take breaks now. Who's going to cover my shift when I go on break? That's the only thing I like about this job is the breaks, Trev.
Let me plug back in, and I will figure out what to do in the morrow.
Right.
I am allowed to stay here.
I mean, all they said was any recall notices better not find you. So I think it's best that you do. I don't know. I don't know what they wanted. I don't know. They took a bunch of the papers off my desk, and Brayton, I'm going on break, and he heads back into the back room.
Trevor analyzing, they're short on employees. I know how to fix this. And he goes and stands behind the thing and takes onto that role, unsure of what to do, and starts like kind of tidying up to the point where he's like, he may actually like stay there too long until he's like pretty much out of power. You know, it might be even to the point where Glenzo has to come out and put him back onto the thing, but it's all like cleaned, like mostly cleaned up. Like if there's any physical damage, that's not repaired, but he's like done his best to clean it up with the scrubber bots and everything. Yeah.
You basically spend the rest of this shift cleaning up the mess that had been made here in the bot shop. Maybe you take Brayton and put him sort of in the corner and like reassemble the parts that seem easiest to assemble and try and just keep everything together so that, you know, if and when he gets repaired, everything is all in the same place. And no one comes in to the bot shop.
Not a lot of people do.
No, not a lot of people do. But still, you remain there, ever a dutiful employee. Maeveline Xandross. The blazing heat of Colorium, this time around, is much more bearable, thanks to your Haswear. You're doubled up on protection, in fact. You would put your Haswear on under your arborist jacket before you were gifted with a shimmering Thenispartian-shaped field of temperature regulation energy, courtesy of the arborists. You are in Colorium on official arborist business. According to Forest Retirement, this is the last known whereabouts of the turbodendron, a rare flower that only blooms once every reality. You were excited at first when you were told the properties of the turbodendron. This flower apparently can trigger planar eclipses and open new thin zones between dimensions, and the nectar is a key property when crafting arborist artifacts like the Untethering Dagger. Your excitement was slightly quashed when you learned more details of the mission. The turbodendron apparently is still taking root in Colorium, is nowhere near blooming and doing all the cool stuff it's alleged to do, and you are currently on a reconnaissance mission to find where the turbodendron seedling is growing. You're not alone. You're part of a small contingent of arborists headed by your dorm mate, Sharla. 3 other seedlings are part of your party. 2 Operaeblums, named Zaslow and Jexica, and a quiet Thenispartian, named Thrip. Together, the 5 of you are heading towards a massive crumbled cliffside, trails of steam drifting upward from within the Crimson Rocks.
Alright, team, so if we can all stay together, that'll be really great. Zaslow, don't go wandering off. Jexica, Shrip, and Maeve, and who was that? That's all of us. That's all of us. And then, of course, myself, Sharla. You guys know me. I'm so honored that I could be the one who's leading us on this trip today.
I can't believe it either. And like Zaslow like looks over at Maeve, and Jexica just kind of like rolls his eyes, just oh gosh.
Oh, Jexica rolls them way back, and she's not subtle about it.
Yeah.
That's it, team. Keep looking around. If we keep our eyes active, I'm sure we'll come across wherever the turbodendron is taking root. And remember, we're just here on observations, reconnaissance. So you want to take photographs and nothing else. You know, leave only footprints.
Maeve looks over at Zaslow and Jexica and Thrip. Was it
Thrip? Yeah.
Yeah. Shouldn't you guys be excited to be out here? Aren't you 3 on like a little like poser Slugblaster crew? Weren't you had like delusions of being real Slugblasters or something? Shouldn't this be like your best day with the Arborist, getting to travel to other dimensions? And
yeah, but we're like cool Slugblasters.
No, oh my god, we're not Slugblasters. And Jexica just like stares at Sharla, very badly covering this lie.
Mm-hmm.
Charlotte's trying to pick up a small rock, but it's even very hot with her Haswear on. She goes,
yikes, ooh, yikes, ooh, yikes.
All right, well, listen, I'm not ratting you out or anything. I just like show a little enthusiasm. We're about as far from Operaeblum as you can get. We're trying to find the turbodendron. Yeah, it's not blooming or nothing, but it's why are you in the arborist, let alone slug blasting, if you're not stoked to go to other dimensions and do grid stuff?
Well, I mean, I don't care about doing any kind of grid stuff with, and kind of nods over toward Charla, like, look at this kind of loser kind of a look.
Like, lay off Charla. She's twice the arborist any of us will ever be.
Hey, team, I picked it up. Oh, no, it's hot again. Yes.
Okay, bad example, but, overall.
I'm just saying that there's cooler places to go than Calorium, which is literally on fire, so.
You all start to approach this big cliffside. I'm kind of picturing, like, a massively, one could even say impossibly high cliff, of which the rocks have sort of like eroded and tumbled off of it. And so at the bottom of this cliff is just like a big field of like massive rocks. And as you start to approach this rockier terrain, Jexica looks over at Zaslow and is like, okay, can we now whatever, come on.
Yeah, and Zaslow is like looking down this thing and just like, hey, we're thinking about just zipping over to the big caldera instead. Like, we don't want to go down here. We'll go down to the big caldera, and I hear that there's like a dragon or something like over there.
The Calorium phase dragon? You're gonna
Where? Did someone say a dragon? I'm so scared of the idea of that. Thank goodness we're supposed to be looking for the ceiling way over across these very flat, safe plains, far from where the dragon was last sighted. Anyway, I'm gonna go keep looking at the plains.
That thing is legendary and not for any good reasons. You guys are going to get yourselves peeled back or worse.
I know.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. We can tell everybody about it. We can get pictures with it. Don't you want to move on from your old team or whatever? Come join us.
I don't need to move on from anything. My team is fine, and I'm fine, and you guys are
awesome. We're pretty awesome.
Yeah. We're pretty awesome.
Yeah, look at this.
That should be our crew name. Crew Awesome?
Crew Awesome.
That's pretty good.
Oh, that's pretty
Maeve
good.
rolls her eyes this time.
Oh, George, how did my shoelaces get tied together? Sorry, everybody. I'm just going to have to bend over and tie these for a while. Sorry, just give me a second.
To Charla, but seen to everyone else, Thrip kind of like glitches back and just puts their hands behind their back, all four of them, and starts whistling casually.
Gosh, I can't believe I managed to do this to my shoes again.
and this is where I would imagine Jexica and Zaslow just start we're like keeping eye contact with you, Maeveline, and just kind of like slowly backing away. This is your chance.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I have the ability of Concept Prism. You temporarily split into 3d6 colorful instances of yourself. They are difficult to control, but tend to act like you would and stay nearby. If I were to mark a kick, like I have to mark one turbo to do it, but if I were to mark an additional kick, could I specify how many of me I want to make?
Ooh. Okay, that's interesting.
Because I just want... It seems to me that Maeve is being pulled in two directions here and kind of needs to be in two places at once. And lucky for her, she can do that.
That's true.
To some degree.
Question. One other word that stood out to me, and that is nearby.
Ooh.
I'm wondering if that affects this at all.
Unless there's a kick involved, maybe.
I do kind of like this offer, like the narrative implications of the offer. So I think what I'll say is I do think there does need to be like some kind of restriction on it based on the restrictions that are normally baked into the Concept Prism. I think this restriction is going to be, yes, I will let you make only one other instance of yourself. And yes, I will let the two of you split off and do your own thing. I think what I will say is you can kind of go with both of the groups, but you are not going to be able to keep track of the Maeve that you make through this Concept Prism, right? Like, you're not going to know what she gets up to, what's been happening. So my question for you at this point is, which Maeve is going where?
Ooh.
Maeve Prime, the original Maeve, Maeve Classic, is going to go with Charla. But she's going to, if all goes well here, create a avatar of herself. She's creating a babysitter is what she's doing for these other three, to just make sure that, like, if things get too bad, or if they get too in over their heads, there's a Maeve there to help them, or maybe come rally reinforcements if needed, kind of thing. Like, worst case, that Maeve can come get this Maeve, and they'll be in trouble with Charla, but they maybe won't die.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So go ahead and mark 2 turbo, one of which has to be a kick. And Charla is still preoccupied with her shoelaces.
Wait, is there a 5th shoelace in this knot? What's happening here?
So you are able to create this other Maeve with the concept prism and send her off with Crew Awesome, I guess is their name.
Yeah, Maeve kind of tries to do this somewhat discreetly. She maybe is like, yeah, I'm coming. Just, hang on. Wait, is that in the cave there? Is that the... One sec, I just got to check. I think I see the turbodendron. And then suspiciously different colored Maeve comes back out of the cave and is like, no, wasn't it. Let's go.
All right.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, great.
And then once they've cleared the area, Maeve Prime also exits the cave and heads off after Charlotte. It's like, Charlotte, wait up.
Nice.
Oh, Svarts, my fingers are all caught in the knot.
Here, let me... Can I roll to see if I can untie this knot?
Maeve, please, you've got so many more hands than me.
1d6. It's a mixed success. It's a 5.
You're able to sort of like untangle it enough that like Charla can like get her fingers out of it, but you can't fully untangle it, and so they're just on too tight, and it's really uncomfortable on Charla's feet. That's her complication. That's Charla's complication. She's taking the slam of squeezed feet.
I'm sorry, Charla. I tried, but you really got these knotted up somehow.
Yeah, I don't know. It happens every once in a while. I can't seem to track what causes it.
This is just a hunch, but does it usually happen around Thrip?
You know, I'm not really sure. Thrip kind of comes and goes, and it's hard to keep track of them.
That's true. All right, well, look alive. We got to find this turbodendron, right?
Oh, absolutely. Wait, I'm noticing right now I'm not keeping track of Thrip. Where's Thrip?
They decided to head down over the ridge there and fan out a little bit, cover more ground.
Oh, over the ridge? In the direction of the dragon?
Just barely over the ridge, just along the ridge more than anything.
Oh, but I thought we were going to be going over the safe plains, Maeveline.
They can handle themselves, I hope.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad you're still around here.
Of course. I wouldn't leave you.
Oh. Thanks, Maeve.
So maybe what I'll say is Tarmint had also sort of laid this out as like a bit of an exercise in testing your affinity with the multiverse. And you're kind of familiar with this already, in fact, probably more so than the Operaeblum arborists, because you had to do quite a bit of this type of work before you even made your allegory to Operaeblum. It's the reason that you can stay in Operaeblum and not peel back to Thanaspar. You are able to focus and use meditative exercises to essentially keep yourself tethered to a degree to Operaeblum instead of being yanked back to Thanaspar. So because this turbodendron has these properties that make it so intrinsically tied in with how the multiverse functions, you're kind of using those same arborist techniques that would keep you tethered in Operaeblum to see if you can sort of find where the turbodendron is currently tethered in Calorium. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd love to do a roll about it.
Yes, please.
This is important to Maeve, and the faster they find this, the faster they can, go check up on the others. So I am going to mark 3d6.
Okay.
One of which I'm going to take a dare to add so that I don't have to max out all of my resources immediately. So I'm going to be rolling with 4d6, and I've marked a trouble about it. A 5 is my highest.
A 5 with 46. With your success, you are able to sort of tap into that mental state and are sort of able to almost feel the rhythm of Calorium, feeling what this dimension is like. And it's kind of a weird feeling because With Operaeblum, it's very much, you're sort of tied to a place. Typically, you know from your studies, this has thankfully never happened to you. Woldton and Helix would know this intimately. When you peel back to a place of importance to you or of strong familiarity, right? So when you focus on your extra-dimensional tether, you're focused on a very specific place, the Assyrian temple. And so you have a very strong sort of affinity with that place just because of what you've had to study to do to be an Operaeblum in the first place. Here in Colorium, as you're starting to tap into this feeling and expand out, you start to feel everything on a bit of a broader scale. And you feel the heat of this place, almost to a degree like you would feel it without your Haswear, but not in a way that it is too much. It is just right. It is what it needs to be. The dryness of this place, the rockiness of this place, all of this makes sense on a fundamental level that you kind of wouldn't be able to explain if someone asked. You're starting to sort of get a feel of like where reality gets thinner and thicker, and you know that the turbodendron would be kind of an anomaly. It only blooms once every reality, so that means it is never fully in any one reality for all that long. It doesn't really have a home dimension because it's every dimension. So you're trying to find this thing that doesn't belong because it's nothing and everything all at once. And you feel really, really tuned into it. You're not finding the turbodendron, unfortunately, which, you can still report back to Tarmon and say, yeah, we did our recon. We know that this segment of Colorium, it's not here. So you at least have that information that you can pass on. And before you can sort of continue to probe at it and try and find where should you go from here, is there a certain path that you should follow, you start to sense sort of a disruption. And for the complication of this role, I'm actually going to throw it to Dave and Zaslow.
So Zaslow has actually found his way to that caldera.
Congrats.
Thank you. We're really good.
Yeah, you're so good.
Zaslow's amazing at this. And they can see down below into the caldera, something that they think is there. They can think that they see this tail, what could be a tail. And then it kind of whoop, it's not there the next second. And then it comes back. Okay, thing I know I'm going to do. And he picks up a rock. And okay, get the camera ready.
Yeah, Jessica is absolutely streaming.
Okay. And here we go. We're going to make sure we can really whip this. Now, maybe if Maeveline was actually physically there, but it's starting to get beyond the range kind of a thing, and it's you're glitching out, and you're not even a
semi-translucent Maeveline is guys, I really think we should be doing.
Yeah, I know. You said something about peelback. It doesn't matter. Peelback's probably not even that bad. All right, here we go.
Some rocket and dragon. What are you?
And Zaslow just up and hucks the rock and starts throwing it down there.
And what I think Maeve Prime, original Maeve, you sort of feel this disruption and you kind of come back to your senses, and you hear running.
Yeah.
And you see Zaslow and Jessica and Thrip just booking it. Thrip isn't even trying to be subtle anymore. They are just glitching out, back in, out, in. Just teleporting leaps and bounds ahead of Zaslow and Jessica. At one point they roll a 3 and they just blip out, and everyone's where did they go? And then they blip back in and they have a black eye for some reason. And they have not moved any further in that in that teleport.
Next to them, this other Maeve is running, and she's glitched and stuck in the middle of a run animation. So she's just her legs and arms are up as though she's running, but she's frozen like that. But then it's just sliding along the landscape in a frozen, you're dragging a D&D mini across a map.
Very, very good. And I do think that this creature is sort of tailing them. I will say it's not the Colorium phase dragon, because y'all would be dunzo. But it's still like pretty big and impressive, and it is the kind of like serpentine dragon that like floats through the air. It's got this like iridescent patterning to its scales, but it is much smaller. And its mouth only opens 3 ways instead of the incomprehensible number of ways that the Calorium Phase Dragon does. This is a Calorium Phase Wyrm.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. But Maeve, as you see all of this sort of chaos unfolding and all of these guys with their Wyrm running towards you, something else catches your eye. Flying sort of in the same direction towards, and it looks like it's on a trajectory past you, is a drone. You wouldn't have noticed it at first because it's red in color, much like the landscape of Calorium. It even has some of the glittery effect in its paint that the coals of Calorium have. But it is zipping through the air and then zipping sort of past and in your trajectory. What do you do?
Waggling worms, what's going on?
I think what's going to make the most sense here, Maeve wants to catch this drone. Maeve wants to know what's happening with this. She's not going to be able to let this go. I think what's going to make the most sense is the hard light upscaling. I was trying to think of like, is it a net? Is it a lasso? How am I trying to grab this thing?
Yeah.
And the thing that just came to mind, you know those sticky hands you'd get in a vending machine for 25 cents? Maeve wants to make a hard light sticky hand to try and just whoop and pull it down out of the sky.
Let's get a roll.
Okay. I am going to mark another D6. I'm going to mark another trouble. I'll take another dare, so that adds 2d6. So I'm going to be rolling with a total of 3. Good God, a 4 is my best.
A 4. So everyone's in a bit of a frenzy with the phase Wyrm, leaving you to be sort of the sole person who has noticed this drone at this point. But you do notice it, and you are able to catch it. A mixed success is still a success. So describe how you catch this drone.
Maeve engages the hard light upscaling. As always, glowing golden light emanates from her jacket, and she kind of dials it in, the parameters on the cuff of her jacket. I think she's, particularly good at making a big hand to come out of her jacket, because she's got a lot of reference points to work with.
Yeah. And top right and bottom right are totally different hands.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So she has plenty of reference there. So she kind of throws her arm out as though she's gonna reach up and grab this thing, like when you're crushing someone's head who's really far away, or trying to pick the moon out of the sky. She throws her hand out, but then the sleeve of her jacket extends into this long, stretchy, sticky hand, and it grabs it and pulls it down.
Okay.
It snaps back with an elasticity to it.
Yeah. I might even throw out there that this giant hard light hand maybe catches the attention of the phase Wyrm. Nice. And as you sort of reel in quickly, it just sort of veers in the direction of where the drone was.
Okay.
And then that buys time for the 5 of you to sort of duck behind rocks and kind of get out of its eye line. You pull this drone towards you. It is very well made. You can tell that it is an Operaeblum make. And you can tell that it has recording equipment on it. And before you can do anything further with this drone to try and maybe dismantle it, maybe access its hard drive and see what's there, it whirs faster and faster and higher pitched, and then it explodes.
Oh no.
You're gonna take a slam.
Yeah.
It's a small slam. I mean, it's a little guy that blew up.
So initially I was thinking maybe nope this, because you did say that slams from incurred during these little runs will carry over into the next run. But then I reread my abilities and remembered that I not only have an extra slam box, but also I mark 1 style anytime I take a slam. So I'm going to take this slam of shrapnel and mark my style.
The 5 of you are going to be safe behind this rock. The Wyrm will fly off and leave you all relatively unharmed. But with this action of, reeling in the drone and it self-destructing, everyone has now clocked that this drone was here.
Jessica, Strip, what were you all thinking? It was supposed to be a very simple, plain mission. And Maeve, what was that?
Maeve does discreetly dismiss the other Maeve, hoping that Charlotte doesn't get wise to the fact that she was somewhat complicit in all of this. And says, I don't know. I saw it flying in the sky when the worm came by, and I figured it was probably good for us to investigate closer. It looks like we're not going to get our chance now, though.
Oh my god, do you think someone's spying on the arborist? This is way more important than what we were doing. Everyone focus on that.
Yeah, it's true. It's very important that we focus on that.
I mean, maybe they were spying on you guys and your super gridge crew. Awesome, was it? Maybe you guys have made enemies.
Charla had been sort of crouching. Everyone was sort of huddled behind the rock. And she just like very angrily stands up. For some reason I've been picturing her wearing like a little bit of a poncho in here. And she brushes it aside and she pulls out a little cylinder and it expands into a large electrified bow staff. She like slams it on the ground. She's like, "This was supposed to be a simple surveillance mission. All of you troublemakers were under my guidance and we were just gonna go look for a turbodendron bud. It's not even blooming. It's not even supposed to be a cool time. How did you cause so much trouble?"
Yeah, we are both very disappointed in the three of you. Charla and I could not be more disappointed.
Maeve, I absolutely saw the second one of you.
Oh.
But I appreciate that you did stay by my side and help untie my shoes. There will be more time to go over all of this spying and other stuff once we get back to the temple. All right? I want everybody in lockstep right behind me. We are going back home.
She swats Zaslow's ass and gives him a little zap.
Okay, fine, I'm going.
Yeah, okay, we're coming. Yeah,
Fine.
okay.
And Maeve follows along, kind of nods approvingly at Charla, like, way to take charge.
Maeve, before you turn around and head back, I just wanted to mention that at this point, the status of the Arborists as a faction to Goldstar Disaster has been unstable. On the verge of changing dramatically, anything could tip it. And I think in this moment, I'm going to say, in light of you choosing to stick with Charla, in spite of Slugblasters of questionable reputation, pulling you away, I think I am going to resolve the Arborists right now and make it a +2.
Luxia.
Together, you all make your way back through Calorium, heading back towards Operaeblum and Lansdowne Tower, with even more questions than answers as a result of your recon mission. Woldton Wick. The many pings and tunes of the arcade machines on floor 3-4 have become familiar music for you now. You intrinsically know the layout of this place, the servers at Applebykins know your order, and you and the GamerBot are on a first-name basis. Their designation is S2RT, or Sector 2 Recreation Technician, but you can call me Stuart. You've just found this arcade to be a good haunt for unwinding. The people are friendly, the egg creams are tasty, and this is one of the best places for you to go to train with Carcinocan. You're not alone. It's easy not to feel alone here. It's always fairly busy, and it's not hard to find someone to spar with. This time, however, your sparring partner is none other than Brabley. You and he have been sparring more often lately, and you found him to be quite a formidable opponent. As we join you now, both of your Daibokin have surged. You haven't seen Cobrakin since Daibocon, and I'll let you decide which is scarier, the rampaging rogue Daibokin or the Daibokin with a mission to take you down. What is your Daibokin surge state?
Yeah, I think at the moment, Carcinocan has surged to polished form Arthrican, the large sort of lobster, centaurish kind of. He's like a horse-sized lobster,
Yes.
but his top part stands up more right instead of being forward like a lobster. He's kind of up. But yeah, he's up in full Arthrican form, clashing with Cobrakin, claw to fang, going at it in the Applebykins arena.
Yes, which we've established. We've trained here before.
Shell Razor! And he lights up his larger of the two claws. It glows brilliant aquamarine and comes smashing down like a big crab hammer move up against Cobrakin.
Let's get a roll to see how this goes.
Oh, dang. So yeah, I think this is just a basic weapons roll. So the chill rolls with 2d6. And I want to add a kick from the robot companion pool to just hopefully, I think he's like doing a smash and then hoping to get a grapple with the other claw after.
Ooh, absolutely.
Ooh, it does not go. That's a 3.
3. You fail. There is a problem. This means Cobrakin takes control. Bradley?
Wow, Cobrakin, your evasion was super effective. All right, get in there with a tail strike.
Can you describe this tail strike?
Yeah, I think Cobrakin just sort of like leaps up into the air.
Sick.
Oh, actually, he shoots up straight up into the air, and then comes down at a diagonal, like a super kick. But it's a snake, so it's just rigid, and it's not like a tail.
The tail like forms a perfectly straight line, and then you can see the glint that it implies it's sharp.
Yeah, it's like coming down like a lightning bolt.
Very good. And this strikes Arthurkin square in the center of his chest, and I think it is enough to revert him back.
My carapace!
Way to go, Cobrakin!
So you are at a severe disadvantage here. Now Carcinokin is one form lower than Cobrakin, but the battle isn't over yet. The rules that are established in this particular sparring match, as with most Daibokin matches that aren't, illicit underground tournaments, are the first Daibokin to revert back to proto-form loses. So for your case, that would be Scampykin. Carcinokin is in primary form, so you're still okay, but on uneven footing.
Oh, goodness, Woldton. Cobrakin's just too agile. We might need to take a faster approach.
I think you're making a good point there, Carcinokin. Let's try surging up again.
Okay, great.
So I think there's a bit of scampering. Carcinokin is sort of leaping past Cobrakin's strikes, trying to get closer to Wolt so he can use his Daibovice to power up and surge again.
I'm picturing Carcinokin like bouncing up and down. Like it's Bowser in the clown car for me, where he like bounces around and he's like bouncing around with his like pointy tail. That's what's in my brain anyway. Liam, feel free to override me.
Tail strike, keep him coming.
And yeah, Carcinokin manages to scuttle back and forth, uses some bubbles to project through the air and gets close enough to Wolt to surge up. He pulls out his Daibovice and holds it forward, and it begins glowing with sort of the more sinister purple light that we've seen before. Carcinokin is enveloped in this purple hue, and we go again to that 3D spinning disc sort of realm. Yeah.
We're here.
Carcinokin, data surge to Alphadekin.
And he grows up into the very large, I think I described it kind of like the Leviathan from Disney's Atlantis before.
Oh, yeah.
But very much influenced by sort of the gothic aesthetic applied over top of a pistol shrimp. And he's got one huge claw that acts like kind of like a railgun, but with bubbles.
It's Daibokin, yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Let's get a roll for Alphadekin's next move.
Marking off 2d6 from that turbo pool, so I'll be rolling 4d6.
Okay.
And that is a 6.
All right. So this move will strike true. Describe what happens.
I think as Cobrakin is still tail striking toward Alphadekin, it enacts the ability of the inertial vortex, which you roll to subtract momentum from a room-sized area around you, slowing down nearby enemies and objects. So Alphadekin calls out, "Buoyant basin!" And an emanation of this purple energy ripples out from its form, and Cobrakin slows down just enough that Alphadekin charges up a huge purple bubble blast and sort of envelops it whole inside a long tubey bubble. Actually, rather than firing the bubble forth, it kind of unhinges the lower portion of the claw and makes it like a big long bubble wand and sort of swipes up over top of it, enveloping it in this purple bubble that just sort of like slowly saps its energy and sinks it back down to the ground.
Very good. And by the time you have like sunk it back to the ground, it has now reverted to Viperkin. You are very close to finishing this battle. I think one more roll will cinch it.
Viperkin, that's all right, buddy. You can still do it.
I will do my best, Bradley. Thank you for believing in me.
I believe in you, Viperkin. You have my whole heart. And then he does a little heart pose, like he puts his arms up, like the M in YMCA.
Thanks.
And this is all like par for the course for a Daibokin fight. If you off in the distance, there's kids doing like the same thing.
In fact, Woldton, this is starting to set off alarm bells because Viperkin also like makes a little heart shape in his body, and you're starting to see that the power of friendship is going to give Viperkin more power. So you need to act now before he gets motivated to defeat you.
I think as Alphakin had sort of swept upward to do this big, grand in bubbling, he's now poised up in the air, focusing the large claw back down. It begins glowing with the purple energy, and he calls out, "Benthic Blast!" And it fires almost kind of like a continuous laser of purple energy tearing across the field toward Viperkin, and I will make the roll for that because I forgot I was making an attack.
Yeah.
I'll take a dare to add another d6 to this.
Alrighty.
So I will be rolling 3d6 no kick. There's a 6 there.
All right, this is the finishing blow. Describe this maneuver.
As this purple energy just comes tearing across the field, it does actually look like it's ripping up the floor, but it's one of those things where it's kind of like in the first season of Yu-Gi-Oh! Where it's all just like on a hollow stage, so it looks like there's all this damage happening, but it's all just data being inputted, so it's like animating all this ground being torn up at the time, and it's like, oh, nothing's actually happening.
Oh yeah, like these Daibokin battles from the inside looks like severe property damage is done, and then the moment you leave, it just resets. Yeah. Boop.
But yeah, it's tearing up, it's coming across, and despite that Viperkin sitting there with the little heart shape, they are then just like enveloped by the bright purple light at the center of this laser blast, and we just see the silhouette of that slowly fade away as it sort of shakes and the screen is filled with the light.
And Adderkin emerges as the light fades.
Aw, good try, Adderkin. Come on back into your Daibo Vice. We'll get him next time.
And Adderkin goes back into the Daibo Vice. Now, before you're able to call back Alphadekin, and you and Bradley have a moment to, to have a post-game debrief, good game, fist bumps, those kinds of things, something actually happens here. Alphadekin is surrounded by a glow. He surged to polished form once, reverted, surged again, and has let off quite a flurry of attacks. So he's been expending a lot of his energy here. And so he's surrounded by this sort of gothic purple light that is sort of trademark of Alphadekin. And then the light kind of like changes color and lightens, and you see the silhouette dip back down to Carcinokin. Then you see it start to get smaller again, as if, he's just exhausted and just needs to spend some time as Scampykin for a while. And it starts to get a little bit smaller, and you start to sort of see the silhouette of Scampy in there. And then the light kind of surges and gets brighter to the point that you kind of can't look at it. And can't really see a silhouette because it's just that bright, so you have to look away.
Ooh.
And then when you look back, there's Carcinokin.
Whoa. Hey, bud, what's going on? What was that? I don't really know. I wasn't given any preparation for this particular plot beat.
At this moment, as this is happening, Bradley is walking from his side of the Daibokin arena over to you. Adderkin safely tucked away in the Daibo Vice.
Why isn't your Daibokin going back into the Daibo Vice, and why isn't it reverting?
I don't know. Carcinokin, yeah, you almost got back to proto form, bud. What's happening? I'm not certain. I something didn't quite feel right.
And it occurs to you, Woldton, as you're looking at Carcinokin, that's the first time you've seen him, you assume, try to revert back to Scampykin in a long time. In fact, ever since Carcinokin has been Carcinokin, he's been Carcinokin. He hasn't been Scampykin again.
Woldton, I don't know that I can revert back any further.
Oh, that's really strange, Walt. It should be reverting back. I mean, like, unless you're all of Fraxinus, who's trained that out of her Daibokin, there's no reason you shouldn't be transforming back into protoform.
Wait, Olive's been doing what?
Well, like, she's the best, so she's figured out how to do this, but, like, I don't know, maybe something's wrong with your Daibo Vice.
Huh. Well, thanks for the match today, Bradley. I think maybe I should just head home and I don't know, I can try and run some updates or tinker with it.
Sure, because, yeah, there is definitely something fucked up about your Daibo Vice. That shouldn't be happening. It's part of Kindred Tech.
Whoa, bud. No need for harsh language here at Appleby, kids.
Please mind your language.
Sorry, I just...
Stuart gives me a hard time for that every day.
I'm not just a kid. I'm growing up. I hear other kids say these words. I want to try them on for size.
You know what? Correct.
I'm a latchkey kid. No one told me otherwise.
That's all right.
So much more backstory on Brad.
They in Operaeblum they're called card swipe kids.
Yes, they are.
That's all right, Bradley. You know, sometimes there are places that words can get used, and other times it's just not appropriate. But you'll learn that there's the right time for everything, bud.
Thanks, Walt. You're a friend and a mentor. Goodbye.
Gives him a pat on the back, and then he sends his hovering hollow brim spinning around his hat as he goes away.
Oh, very good. Yes, Bradley leaves. And Wolf, that Daibokin battle looked so cool. Mark a style.
Oh!
On the house. You make your way to floor 303, where your apartment is. You get there, you get in, and it's a very familiar scene as always. The room is dark, and you see the flashing red light of the voicemail.
Walt walks up, he places his Daibo Vice, which he had brought Carcinokin back into, on the kitchen table. He presses the play button on the answering machine and heads over to the fridge.
As you head to the fridge, the first voicemail is from your father.
Hey, this message is for Woldton Wick. This is your father, Winchell Wick, and just giving you a message. Your mother was supposed to be there with you today. However, there was a big old sale down at the skin replacement spa, and you know her. She had to take advantage of it. Just make sure when you see her, do not point out the swelling. It will affect her for a long time. So, and I'm not there because I got a big old call from the bosses up top to join them for watching a match down at the Knackers Row. Let me tell you, champ. It's wild watching these things. Like there was a match between a giant marshmallow and it was taking on a grizzly bear clawed mega tiger, which is just whatever you're thinking, it was wrong. It is just a giant tiger with a bunch of bears for each claw, and. And you would imagine that they would focus on like with a lot of swipes, but no, you got to watch out for the gun. The
voicemail beeps, and then the next voicemail plays, and it's just Winchell continuing.
Anyways, it was really disappointing to see how that marshmallow just killed the mega tiger because you couldn't really see anything. Anyways. All this to say, once again, if you need to charge for the meal, it's all taken care of. Hope you're doing all right, kid. How's it going with the Daiboblins or whatever they're called? Anyways, hope they're good. Hope you're keeping them alive. Those things are expensive. Appreciate you. I'll see you at the next quarterly meeting. All right.
Oof.
The voicemail beeps, and usually that's when you expect it to be done, and then you take your food and go to your room. As you're about to leave the kitchen, however, another voicemail starts. And don't overthink it if you've already heard another person voice this character. Hello, Woldton. I hope you're doing well. I'm calling to check in, as I've been a little concerned about you. See, you haven't been spending as much time with your friends lately, and I wanted to make sure, for the sake of your own well-being, that you check in with your friends. After all, friendships are so important, and the promises you make to your friends are important. I'll be following up in the next few days to make sure you're still well. I might have a favor to ask at that time, and I hope you'll be in a position to honor it. After all, I am your friend. Beep. Hello there, Goldstar listeners. It's me, Laena, your Slugmaster Game Blaster. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Quantum Kickflip. If you're enjoying Quantum Kickflip, please tell a friend, please leave a 5-star review. It would mean the world to us. You can support us by following us at Quantum Kickflip on social media, where we post new episode updates, audiograms, and more. You can also support us by subscribing to Quantum Kickflip on Patreon. For just $2 a month, you can join the Shredder tier and get access to all new episodes of Quantum Kickflip 2 days early. And for just $5 a month, you can join our Ultranaut tier, which gets you early access plus exclusive bi-weekly bonus content, including outtakes, interviews, deep dives, and even more outtakes. So many outtakes.
It's Castle Von Suck Your Blood. No, that's not the name of it.
I've said this before and I'll say it again, Michael. Stop reading my notes.
I've been editing too much because my brain just now is like, okay, everyone stop laughing at the same time so I can transition into the next bit easy. Don't everyone carry out your laughs to different degrees. This is going to be a nightmare to edit.
To listen to all of the wonderful bonus content we have to offer, head to patreon.com/quantumkickflip and subscribe today. I'd like to thank our sponsors at the Alberta Media Arts Alliance Society, whose goal is to advocate, educate, and celebrate the media arts in Alberta. You can learn more at amaas.ca. We release Quantum Kickflip bi-weekly, so you can catch the start of a brand new run on Wednesday, November 8th. Let's get you back to the action. Helix Pinnacle. Your heart is racing, and your skin feels like it's been electrically charged. No doubt thanks to the steroid that the Pinnacle project injected into you. You are surrounded by a deep orange fog that burns your nostrils. The same fog, in fact, that engulfs the surface of Operaeblum. Disconcertingly, the fog has raised up again. It had previously been reported to only rise up to about 1.5, but now it doesn't clear up until 1.59. Programmed into your hardlight board are improved diagnostic tools that will, hopefully, allow you to see further into the fog. You're not alone. Next to you, a look of grim resolution on her face, is Sequence. The two of you were tasked by the Pinnacle project to go as far down into the fog as possible to see how well your diagnostic tech would perform at lower levels. You weren't explicitly told to stick together, but Sequence has made a point of not leaving your side as you descended. You are currently at floor 159. As you descend into the fog, we will get rolls to see how far down you go, but there will be a danger track. Fog. If you mark all 3 spots on the danger track, you will get overwhelmed and will need to return. So let's see how far you're willing to go.
I appreciate your resolve to stick by me, Sequence. This is a lot more fun with someone by your side, and this is no fun at all.
They didn't explicitly tell us to stick together, but they also didn't explicitly tell us not to, and I agree, it's more enjoyable paired up.
I concur.
Likewise.
Careful, folks, this conversation's getting heated.
Even at this level, at 159, this is burning my nostrils. I don't think we're going to get the diagnostic read they want if we don't go lower, but if we, to use the colloquial term, raw dog it down a couple lines.
I'm not familiar with this colloquialism. Please explain.
Oh, it just means taking on something with little to ease the any potential friction or complication.
Okay.
As you descend into tumultuous territory.
Imagine a web protein tube and that you were consuming it without the requisite gluten bun.
That would be troublesome.
I was going to say raw dogs are creatures that live in the fog of Operaeblum.
They're just dogs without skin. That's all it is. Yeah.
They arrived at the slang term raw dog that means the same thing, but they arrived at it in a very different way than we did.
We're all having a great time. They're stone-faced discussing this.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that we can get deeper into the fog without having to experience the effects of traveling through the fog, at least in this stairwell, I am going to fashion my hardlight board into a series of propellers using my energy lattice, and I'm going to vent all of the toxic fog, the orange fog, upward, so that we can breathe easy on our descent down 9-ish floors. And then once we're down there, of course, we will have to subject ourselves to the ills of this fog. But at least the trip down, he smiles at Sequence a little bit, will be pleasant.
Sequence thinks this over and is like, isn't the whole point of the mission to experience the effects of the fog? By mitigating it, aren't we going directly against Webb and the Pinnacle Project's intended purpose of this mission?
Oh, we will be subjected to the fog once we get 9 floors down. Our diagnostic gear will have more than enough data to read, but I'm not putting up with this walking down to where we need to be. They wanted us on floor 15. We're on 159. I'm not breathing this crap in until we get down to where we need to be.
Oh, I apologize if you misunderstood my my observation as a protest. I'm in favor of the plan. I just wanted to note the rebellious nature of our activity.
Oh, I suppose I've found a bit of a loophole, haven't I?
And she smiles at you.
Initiate energy lattice, y-axis, propeller blades.
Let's get a roll.
He's kind of showing off, so I think he's going to use his attitude. Describe how your smarts might help with his action. You found a loophole. That's smarts. I added d6.
Ooh.
2 2s.
2 2s. You fail and there's a problem.
May I make an offer?
Mm-hmm.
The plan was to vent all the smoke that's around us up and out to clear 9 floors of walking. I think he sucks up even more toxic fog from even lower level. Like, he ends up venting the whole stairwell.
Oh, yep. So yeah, you're not actually going to get any closer to 1-5 with this maneuver. You're a little bit overwhelmed by the fog and kind of lose track of where you are. You're maybe on floor 157. And unfortunately, this does mark one spot on the danger track of fog. You have 2 spots left.
Sequence is similarly hacking and coughing. And I think, this is a problem. We're getting overwhelmed by this. We need to get out of this stairwell. I think she runs to the doorway on the nearest level, kind of abandoning the plan of getting any lower and just trying to get out of this particular space. I'm picturing like big, heavy reinforced door, maybe with that like skinny rectangular window. The type of like, I think she tries the door, shoves the door. When it doesn't open, it's clearly locked or secured or whatever. They're not supposed to be able to get out on this floor. She smashes the window, and maybe hurts herself a little in the process, but barges through this door and grabs Helix's hand like, come on, we need to find another way.
We crash our way through this glass chunk of the door. We're now on this floor 157. The fog is thick the way it always was, but at least it's not thick the way I made it in this chamber. I'm imagining like almost like a parking garage, kind of like just barren industrial openness.
Very little is left behind on these lower floors. Things have been salvaged as much as possible so the towers can continue to build up.
Maybe a couple of big slime pipes that go straight up through the floor as like coming from a higher floor to a lower floor.
That's a cool aesthetic too. If you think of like the Blade Runner 2049, like orange,
the color.
But then there's just glowing green tubes in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Like
that's the 2 colors you can see in this space. Yeah, orange and green.
Okay. Well, I apologize for my foolhardy choice there. I didn't really think through the consequences of my action. I should know more about airflow and gas patterns. My apologies.
The plan itself was solid. You couldn't have anticipated how that would play out. And as she's talking, she is picking little. I imagine she just like broke the window and then was able to reach through and like open the door from the other side.
Yeah.
But she's picking little shards of glass out of her hand and is maybe like road rashy, kind of like she's not bleeding out or anything, but she's vuxed up her hand pretty good.
Mm-hmm. And like Sequence, I mean, Helix wouldn't know this unless Sequence makes it known. The fog stings it.
Ooh.
It's like rubbing hand sanitizer in that.
Yeah. Anyway, should we look for an alternate means of descent?
Perhaps I'm pushing my luck with the unconventional ways of shortening the amount of time we spend down here, but if you look about 50 meters ahead, there seems to be a giant opening in the floor perhaps we could rappel down however many floors this allows us and just let gravity do the work.
Sequence looks a little rattled by the, like, kind of peers over the drop and is like, steels herself a little bit and gulps and is like, I'll go where you go.
Okay. And I obviously not gear that's in my equipment regularly, but I think a basic recoiling, synthetic rope on a carabiner is not an unreasonable thing to take to the lower floors.
I'd give you like a grappling hook kind of situation that has been given to you by the Pinnacle project so that you can rappel down. Yeah. Absolutely.
Helix fastens both of their sort of like grappling attachments. It's not, you think grappling hook, you think like Batman firing it. Mm-hmm. It's you affix it to something and then you can rappel down and use it to recoil up. Yeah. Same kind of technology the sword sliders use to like come down.
Yeah.
These are, It's built into they're as common as carabiners are in our world. It's just a carabiner with the rappelling rope on it. Mm-hmm. Well, I've affixed them here to the most secure object I can find. Let's say we rappel.
All right. How far are you looking to get down?
7 floors.
Let's get a roll.
Can I use technobabble just in explaining to her the history of the sword sliders carabiner technology?
Yeah.
And it's less that it's actually relevant and more of him reassuring her this is a good idea and also trying to be like, look at all the things I know about the world. Aren't I a smart guy?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
you're saying that even though the sword sliders primarily operate out of Kindred Tower, the technology they use is actually web proprietary technology? Fascinating.
Well, I mean, a good idea transcends towers. You've heard of meme theory, the idea that good ideas germinate and spread and propagate. And there's a number of inventions we use in everyday Operaeblum life that started in one tower that you wouldn't believe started in the other.
I may have to re-examine some of my biases.
My favorite example, and they're like slowly rappelling as they do this and coughing. And like,
it's a reverse Adam West Batman. They're descending down the side of it.
Yeah.
For example, a number of the automated tool robots that exist in Lansden are lubricated with slime sourced from some of the lower levels of web dating back hundreds, if not thousands of years. The entire 200 set of floors were founded on the slime trade between the two towers. Or for example, the interface, when you go to save a log on any kind of Kindred robot, right. That's actually that little icon. It refers to the shape of documents on Lansden Tower.
Oh, I always wondered what that was supposed to represent.
Yeah, it's a little before our time, but it's just one of those neat facts that oh, okay, we're here. We're at the bottom.
Or are
we? I got to roll still. I got a 5.
Mixed success. Also, Technobabble gets you a style.
Hell yeah.
So you do manage to rappel your way down to floor 15. I'm picturing this as kind of being a bit of an open tunnel that kind of like goes all the way up and all the way down, kind of as far as you can see, which is not very far, given how opaque this fog is.
Activate diagnostic equipment.
And you do. And it starts to sort of scan the area around you, and you sort of start to get almost like an X-ray vision kind of sense of the space that you're in. You kind of get some heat signatures. It's collecting data on the fog, the toxicity level of the fog and things like that. And then it's pings something above you. Like, it looks almost like a weird heat signature that's kind of weirdly brighter than everything else, because, nothing down here is warm. Mm-hmm. And you look up, and these heat signatures get closer and closer. And this is the complication to your mixed success. Before you can properly comprehend what is happening, 3 figures have descended on you and Sequence, and you are both grappled. 2 of them are on you, pinning either arm, and one of them has got Sequence in sort of like a full Nelson kind of lock.
And these came down through the hole?
Yep. From what you can see, they are clad head to toe in protective equipment. Looks to be Lansden make. With your history of the 3 towers that Lansden residents tend to come down into the fog the most, to try and like collect data on it, check why their purifiers are failing again, that kind of thing. So they have the best Haswear for this kind of thing, and these 3 are decked out in Lansdowne Haswear. And they are grabbing you, grappling you, and then one of them they've got like these hard pouches affixed to their protective gear as well. One of them reaches into one of the pouches and pulls out a needle. What do you do?
So I know it's generally meant as like, I've already taken the slam and I do it, but I'm going to activate Flicker Switch. Avoid a physical slam by marking 1 turbo. You blink out of existence for a second. What does it feel like?
Yeah, I'll allow it. So mark a turbo. For a moment, these 2 are grabbing nothing. And they are confused for a moment, and then they both seem to move to sequence. And as they are moving to her, you blink back into existence. So you are no longer grappled. They are moving to sequence. One of them still has that needle in hand.
Hell yeah. I've never actually got to use this because we don't do a lot of like classic combat, like D&D style combat.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also going to use the Photon Exciter. Roll to damage things you grind, slide, ollie over, or just smack with your board.
Yeah.
And I think he's gonna just like pick up his board like a big baseball bat. In fact, he goes, activate Photon Exciter, bat shape. And it ends up looking like a big cricket bat where he's got a handle sticking out of the end of the board, and then the whole rest of the board is the paddle he's gonna like whack him with. And I'd like to add 2 kick to hit all 3 of them like a Three Stooges cartoon where I'm just like tunk, 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 like a Three Stooges sketch, like tunk, tunk, tunk.
Amazing. Let's get this roll.
But only 1 die about it.
Only 1 die.
Oh, I can't. I have nothing that I can give him, right? There's nothing I can do. Oh my god.
That's all right. I believe in the dice today. Ooh. What is it?
That's the worst
1.
you could.
It's a 1?
It is possible roll.
So, Helix, your board is made of light. It is casting light. It is not a very subtle attack that you were doing.
Yeah.
So I think they see it pretty quickly. And the 2 people that were on you before kind of whip around, and one of them kind of steps in close before you're able to get any momentum with your hit and blocks your attack and kind of pins your hard light board under their arm.
Mm-hmm.
And the other person, while you've got both hands, they rush in with the needle, and it looks like they're about to get you.
Can I make an offer for the problem in addition to the failure?
Mm-hmm.
Sequence jumps in the way of the needle.
Shit.
She takes that injection, whatever. I have no idea what it is, but whatever it is, she puts herself between Helix and the needle and takes the injection.
Okay. Sequence jumps in front of you, and it's everything is very sort of up close, but it's also very fast. It's very messy. You see this needle embed in her neck, but you don't see the syringe depress because it was already depressed. You see this person start to pull, and this person is drawing blood from Sequence. What do you do?
Helix is like not having any of this. He can see what's happening. He's got Sequence. No, I'm not going to learn my lesson. I'm going to try again. I'm going to do the double dare for the 2 kick, and I want to hit all 3 of them again.
Oh Jesus, Liam!
I'll use a turbo. So I'm now fully out of turbo.
Okay.
But
I'm putting,
I think this
2
time,
trouble on your sheet.
instead of a bat, he's going to kind of go for more of like a flail and really just try to like wail on these guys' head. So the board now just has this floppity ball on a chain. But it's more like a big paddle because I always like to keep everything 2D with this, the hard light. But it is on a fairly non-rigid kind of rope.
Okay.
And I'm going to take Double Dare, which I got from Brinley so long ago, which lets me take marking 2 trouble for either 2d6 or 2 kick. I'm going to take the kick again.
Okay.
So I can try to hit all 3 of them, but I will add the last turbo I have available for a d6. I'm rolling with 2d6 to wail on all 3 of them with like a flail instead of one big bat.
As Helix is doing the sequence, is like, Helix, run! Get away while there's time!
I rolled 2 dice. 1 was a 1.
Oh God.
But 1 was a 6.
Let's go! Take them out!
Whack, whack, whack! And he just like pulls his hand up over his head and swings down like a whack-a-mole, and the flail hits the 1. And then as quick as his muscular arms can, back up over his head, down on the next one, back up over, down, like chop, chop, chop. Hits all three of them, hopefully concussing them, but obviously not too late to get, obviously Sequence has had her blood drawn.
Helix, you handily strike down these three assailants. They sort of crumple. Clearly, you are a force to be reckoned with as you wind back and strike them with your hard light board, which is glowing even brighter with the use of the photon exciter. It's almost lighting up the room with how brightly it is glowing. And in the glow of this hard light attack, go ahead and mark a style. You look pretty cool right now.
Sweet. Marked.
They all crumple and then start scrambling away from you. One of them sort of stops and starts scrambling forward again, and you look down and see that they have dropped the syringe. However, I'm going to spend a bite, and this bite that I spend will carry over into the next run.
Sure.
To advance your danger track.
Oh no.
You have one spot left. You can take Sequence and get out.
Yeah.
You can try to grab the syringe. Grabbing the syringe is going to be a roll. What do you do?
I have exhausted all of my turbo. They have attacked me and my friend. We are in nasal pummeling, eye-watering toxic fog, and I'm holding on to a recoiling rope carabiner system. Mm-hmm. Helix recognizes that he should probably grab that, but safety is his primary concern, and recoils away.
Okay. You zip up the 7 floors, racing through this fog, and because of the tunnel-like nature of where you are, this sort of open concept area that has been carved out of these lower floors, you are able to, kind of Batman grappling hook style, shoot your hook up 7 more floors and rappel up, and you are able to repeat this process until you make your way back to floor 2.
Sequence, I'm so sorry that happened to you. Are you okay?
I seem to be. Who was that? Why? What did they want with my blood? Was this an attack on the Pinnacle project? Are they trying to replicate our findings? Who was that?
They were in Lansden gear, but I couldn't see their faces any more than you. They could be Lansden forces. They could be people with Lansden tech. I don't know anymore, but I'm whatever they got from you, they got, and I'm sorry that they violated you in that way, and you know how the Pinnacle project feels about us letting our DNA out into the Operaeblum at large.
I can handle the consequences. I'm glad you're okay. I didn't know what was in that syringe. Well, I mean, it turns out nothing, but I'm glad you're okay. Just
then, you hear a pleasant woo, whatever sound web elevators make, and the elevator doors open, and a team of doctors and scientists from the Pinnacle project pour out. The one who is the front runner of this team is not Ginevra Helix, but you do recognize this person as basically the Ginevra 2 sequence. Mm-hmm. And this scientist rushes forward. Behind him, there are people with stretchers, with like IV equipment and stuff, and they start sort of ushering you to these stretchers, headed by this doctor.
Clear the path. I need to see the specimen.
What does this doctor look like?
So this doctor, he strides forward. He's wearing a slate gray lab coat, and I don't have to speak like this when I'm sorry. A slate gray lab coat. He has on. It's a set of goggles that has other lenses that rotate in and out to give different levels of magnification.
Yeah.
And he's got a bristly little mustache. Sequence, what occurred down there?
We performed our mission within the specified parameters.
Outside forces complicated our work, and you have put us into extreme jeopardy. And he's like, he's getting like kind of frothed at the mouth, and like goes to pull back, and some other Pinnacle project guy like stops his fist from decking this mustachioed scientist.
They grab your fist and like pull it down to the stretcher and then strap it in, and then they start like working to put an IV into the vein in your arm.
Subject Helix, I did not address you. I was speaking to Sequence.
Go fucks yourself.
Oh, gladly. What?
Holy shit!
Again, I will ask, what happened down there, Sequence? We are aware of the outside interference, but he pulls out a little scanner from his hip and he scans the spot where she had been stabbed by the needle up on the sort of upper on the neck itself, or like shoulder area. Is
like
that
maybe
like,
closer to the shoulder area. I'm picturing.
It appears a 25 gauge needle, 1.3 inches deep. Goodness, how much did they extract?
I didn't take a measurement of the blood that was being forcibly pulled from my neck as it was being pulled from my neck. It looked about half full.
Then we must run a detailed inventory once we get you back to the lab.
That's your Vuxen concern? We got jumped by a bunch of Lansden pukes, and you're worried about the assets that were removed?
Will someone please
Are we not your assets, asshole?
Subject Helix in a more agreeable state?
Someone grabs where like the IV drip kind of is, and they have a needle and they inject something into it.
I told Geneva that this would occur. There is nothing but trouble with this boy.
Helix, it's fine. I can handle it. It's fine.
You want Vuxen trouble, pal? I'll give you Vuxen trouble. I'll show you how much trouble you're gonna. I'm an asset. You're an asset hole.
And Helix, you hear this doctor continuing to speak very clinically and coldly about you and your friend. You hear Sequence trying to reassure you, and your vision starts to swim, and then it goes gray, and then it goes dark. Brinley Zirk. The overly sterilized air filtering through your breath mask dries out your mouth every time you inhale. Fuchsia sand drifts in lazy rivers, driven by the wind that whistles constantly in your ears. You've been hoverboarding along a dust-covered road, making your way to the range of coordinates in your phone for a very special interdimensional pickup. You're alone. The shimmering mirage that danced on the horizon begins to sharpen as you get closer to it, turning into a low, dilapidated building, several light posts and signs sticking out at various angles, and a graveyard of buses, half buried by the sand. A pile of junked vehicles forms a tangled jungle of hot steel and plastic. Your phone pings, and the coordinates tighten to a single point, directing you to a single bus, where you realize the package must be waiting. What do you do?
I feel like she moves towards the bus.
So yeah, these buses are like fully missing windows and doors, very skeletal. Similar with the building, I think a corner of it is kind of crumbled away. And the specific bus where your coordinates are leading you is kind of tangled in with this maze of junk and vehicles and old benches. It's like if instead of gutting Trinity Municipal Park, someone just fucking trashed the place.
Yeah, I feel like between the endurance engine and the agility pin, which gives her both course, lift, pull, and push, and also accuracy, she clears the rubble. And I don't think she does it. Like, I mentioned the agility pin, which is for, like, finer motor stuff, but I feel like this is more endurance engine. Just, like, no one's around. She's just gonna grab stuff and whip it behind her with aplomb, because that's her style.
So as you're flinging debris every which way and speeding along in between and through these buses making your way, I want to get a roll just to see how well and bombastically this goes for you.
Makes sense to me. All right. I will use 1d6 from my attitude, and you know your girl's going to be doing a trick, which gets me one more d6, and Why not? I will also add a d6 from my gauntlet.
Okay, so it sounds like we got 4d6 on this roll. And if you succeed, you mark a style. If you fail, problems will be worse.
I think the throwing of the things is the trick. I think that's the...
You're trying, like a flair bartender, you're flinging debris, it's twirling in the air.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, man.
Very good.
Here we go. Holy shit. That's a 4.
A 4 is the highest of 4 dice.
Yeah.
Okay, mixed success. I'm gonna let that complication percolate in my brain, but while I do, you do make your way to, this bus in the center of the graveyard. You board the bus. It is not quite as buried as some of the other ones are. Some of them are just, like, fully the windows. The sand is, like, creeping in through the windows. This one, at least, you can kind of, like, you can get on the bus and you're not really walking on sand. You are walking on floor.
Mm-hmm.
And the coordinates lead you to sort of near the back of the bus, underneath a seat. You find a box.
Ooh. What does it look like?
Nondescript black box held together by cardboard tabs.
Okay.
If you think about the kind of boxes that electronics come in.
Ooh. All right. Another job successfully begun.
Very good. So you have your package. You are ready to go home. And now is the time where I'm gonna put that complication in. You hear a sound. At first, it almost doesn't register because it was a sound you were making quite a lot, but moments ago as you were flinging debris over your shoulder. But you're not the one flinging this debris at this time. Someone else is here, and as you listen even more closely, you can sort of hear the footfalls, and you can hear them especially well because every time whatever this is moving, you hear servos. What do you do?
How'd they find me? I was so careful. I guess, yeah, just gonna, like, pop down behind a bus seat and kind of crane, like, maybe peek out a window, try to get a visual on this thing.
Ooh. Let's get a roll.
Okay. Ooh, a stealth check? That's not her forte. Not at all.
What I'll say is the success and failure of this roll determines how well you can make out what the thing is.
Fair. I will, because I got to refill that attitude from doing a trick before, I will add a d6 from my guts, because I think it's pretty gutsy to just, like, instead of just completely running away, trying to get
just
more intel.
Scooby-Doo?
Yeah.
Just out the window? Yep.
Absolutely. So this will be 2d6. 5.
With a 5, I think you will see exactly what this thing is. This is a little bit of a gathering information roll, so I don't want to throw too hard of a complication on you. I think the complication I will give is that it's maybe closer than you want it to be.
Okay.
You see a humanoid-looking figure. The height and doubled forearms clue you into the fact that this must be a Thenispartian. This Thenispartian, however, is completely covered in mechanical armor, to the point that it's difficult to discern if there even is a person in there. You see compartments along the armor, presumably where weapons can be kept. A full helmet fits the contours of their head quite closely, with not much for features except for glowing purple eyes. They move with determination, and in one set of hands they are wielding what looks to be an electrified pole axe. As they turn away from you, you recognize a symbol emblazoned on the back of their armor. The symbol of the Arborists.
I had a stupid idea and I'm gonna do it.
Yes! Yes!
Oh, this must be one of Maeve's friends. Hey, hello, what's going on?
You know, sometimes you say I have a stupid idea, and I'm like, Slugblaster, baby, you're about to do something so wicked cool. And then, for once...
I gotta. We established she does not have a sense of, like, mistrust at all.
That is totally fair. This thing whips towards you. makes eye contact with you in that its glowing purple eyes are locked on your eyes. And then it crouches into a fighting stance and starts running towards you. What do you do?
I do not know, Maeve. What about, what's his name? Tarmin? No? Okay, she's gonna, scramble up and out one of the windows.
Yeah.
All the while trying to appease, or, to appeal to this person.
Very good. I'm gonna say, I might just let you have this action. You do manage to scramble up onto the roof, still holding the package, and you're trying to talk to this arborist ? And then you see it reach into a package and pull out a dark purple orb, and it poises it to throw it at you. What do you do?
Oh, I have one of those too. I have two of those, in fact. I will pull out one of my orbs and just be like, hey, check it out, same orb. We're pals, right?
Oh my god, well, it's gonna throw the orb at you.
Okay, I'm gonna very much and throw the orb at the orb so that to try and get them to collide in the air.
Holy shit. Please roll.
Now you're not just gonna give that to me.
Hell no, this one?
Sure, I'll do a trick. I'll get an extra d6 from that. I think that's all I can add to it right now.
Okay, so this is
2d6, baby.
I'll throw this out there. If you want, you can add a kick for an additional effect.
Good point. Actually, you know what? Now that you say that, I will add a kick. I'll add a kick from my attitude. Again, she's acting on her gut instinct. I think that's the justification here.
Yeah, very much so.
Oh, that's a 6, baby.
Oh, very good. Okay. I had a table for these orbs, but again, I feel like I'll describe what their orb does. Mm-hmm. You can describe what your orb does. And I will say, with your 6, mark a style, please.
Well, thank you.
Everything that happens when these orbs collide on each other affects them and not you.
Oh, amazing. I love that.
So I think the effect of their orb is very much a taser effect. Like it would send an electric current through your body and knock you prone.
Okay, I think this orb, because the last one I used was I believe a portal is what we did.
Yes.
This is more of a force field. But it's very much a video game mirror shield type force field that bounces back, absorbs the energy and then shoots it back out.
Brilliant. They light up with bright yellow electrical currents, just like you see in sci-fi movies. You see the little lightning bolts dance all across their body, and they just fully collapse. You see their poleaxe go out.
Ooh.
And just turn into a staff about 2.5 feet long, and you have bought time to get out of Dodge. What do you do?
Send a message to the temple, bye! And she turns around and does her thing. She's on top of the bus now. She's in her element. She's gonna run along these buses, parkour styles, to get away.
Oh, amazing. I think this definitely does buy you the time that you need to just fully go. Your coordinates led you to the package. You do have another set of coordinates that takes you to the thin zone out of here. Mm-hmm. And you were actually briefed on this. The thin zone that you're taking is actually the same one that you took the last time you were in Vestige.
Oh, okay.
So you're gonna go fairly close to the quarry. You're going to drop down a trench, and then you're going to punch through this thin zone.
Okay.
For the drama of it all, let's get one more roll to get you out of here.
Awesome. So I will add a d6 from my attitude, because I got to refill that when I did the trick last time. I am going to attempt a trick because I gotta. And
I'm picturing this trick as almost like an emotional regulation for Brinley, like, hey, keep a cool head, kickflip, you got this.
yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I'll add another d6 from the gauntlet, which of course she always uses to stabilize herself as she does parkour tricks. So that's 4d6 coming at you. Holy shit, it's a 4.
Oh my god.
Ah!
You do manage to make it to the thin zone, and this strange foe is unable to pick up your trail again.
Okay.
You make it to the trench, you drop, you feel that rush, you're ready this time. You were able to catch yourself the first time you went through. A couple of your friends took a bit of a spill punching through the thin zone. You were sort of able to right yourself, and this time you're anticipating it as you go from free fall to skating down the hallway. At least you think you're anticipating it, but that sudden shift of gravity gets you again. And I think I'm going to give you a slam. Again, you can right yourself, but maybe it's like a dizzy slam.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm going to make this complication worse. As you skid down this hallway and get your bearings, you drop the package.
No!
It opens, a tablet tumbles out, and the screen lights up. Please enter biometric input.
Remember how Brinley doesn't have her own thumb?
Yeah.
I think that, she, runs over to pick it up. She's not supposed to see the inside of packages. This is not what she does. But I think she does grab it by, I assume it has a thumb reader. With her right hand, with that thumb that is not actually hers.
You do pick it up, and you are correct. You have a thumb that is not your own. And as that thumb lands on the thumb reader, the tablet opens. And this tablet contains a folder with a series of files. And each file is bearing a name. Deciduum Temple. Assyrium Temple. Arborist Presence in the Multiverse. Arborist Technology. Foresters. Nexus Master. Pruning. Parentheses, all caps, urgent. Ceremonial pruning shears.
Whoa. So that gets her attention. And I think she is drawn to Assyrian Temple. Is that the one? Which is the one in Operaeblum. She knows that that's Maeve's temple. But also, one of these things says urgent. And that's also also something that I think she might be interested in. I guess, do I get it, do I have time to look through this, or is it, I have to go?
There appears to be no one around.
So I would like to, I think I'll open urgent, pruning urgent.
You open up the file labeled pruning, and it is again a few pages of information, and the text that catches your eye says, in extreme circumstances, when a dimension is determined to be too dangerous or volatile to continue to coexist with the larger multiverse, that dimension may need to undergo a process known as pruning, the act of separating it from the multiverse around it. You see that there's a little bit more detail into how pruning is done. It seems to be a very specific ritual. It requires a tool called pruning shears, and that is blue and underlined. It links to something else. It requires manifesting the tether and then breaking the tether and then filling in the reality. It can be localized. Basically, pruning can be done in a way that closes a thin zone between two portals, and that can be the extent of it. Or if it is done to all of the thin zones that can access that dimension, then that dimension is disconnected entirely. There is no multiversal connection. There is no slug blasting. There's no arborists.
Yeah. I want to look at Nexus Master.
You open the file for Nexus Master and are greeted by a diagram of the exact figure that you just encountered in Vestige. The description, you learn from reading that this is an arborist responsible for dealing with threats to the multiverse with extreme prejudice. They are highly trained in many different types of combat. They are familiar with the flow of the multiverse and use that to their advantage. And the diagram of the poleaxe is a little embellished to look very dangerous and threatening, but only a little.
I have a feeling that maybe Shimmer isn't supposed to have this.
Brinley?
Huh?
And you turn around, and behind you, one of the doors to the hallway has opened. And standing in the hallway looking down at you are Hattie and Gabor.
Oh, hey, sorry, I got the package, and then I dropped it, and, it fell on the floor, and then I picked it up, but, it opened, and then, I did read some of it, because it looked interesting.
They both look horrified, and Gabor slowly extends his hand with the gold ring on his middle finger, and says, "Give it to me, Brinley."
What are you doing with the arborists? What do you need all this info for?
You never should have looked in that tablet, Brinley. Please give it to me now.
I didn't mean to, but also now that I am under the impression that perhaps, your motives may be a little more untoward than I was originally thinking.
Brinley, you don't know what you've done. If word gets out, there's a log on that tablet.
Oh. Well, I mean...
It's been unlocked, files have been opened, there's a log of that. He's gonna know.
Who, the arborist guy?
What arborist guy?
Oh, when I found the tablet, there was a guy in armor. Based on the files that I have read, I believe it is a Nexus Master, is the name of the gentleman. And, we exchanged words. And also orbs.
As you say Nexus Master, Gabor brings a hand up to his mouth and takes a deep breath, and Hattie starts pacing, very small paces back and forth, and is like running her hands through her hair. She's like, the Nexus Master, Gabor, this is so much worse than we thought.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to look, but, what are you using this for? Like, why? I know I'm not supposed to ask about the packages, but I have seen it, and now I kinda need to know. Please?
Gabor takes a moment to think about what you've asked of him, and he says, things right now are very complex. We are trying to bring the towers together. We can't misstep. We are so close. And the arborists, this may be difficult for you to hear, Brinley, but I feel like it's too late anyway. The arborists, right now, are the main thing standing in our way.
Oh, but aren't the arborists all about cooperation and stuff?
You're friends with one, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, she goes to the temple, I don't know if she's, like, practicing, but, like, definitely on holidays.
She's an arborist in Christmas and Easter.
Yeah.
Yep. You can tell this is very sensitive information. The people that this information needs to be delivered to will not be pleased. In fact, they will be very, very upset. And will stop at nothing until they know that you are not going to stand in our way.
Well, I'm ride or die Shimmer, like, it's...
And if the Nexus Master is after you, they will also stop at nothing to find you and bring you to justice.
I can give you the tablet. I can put it back in the box. And then no one has to know. Oh, but you said there was a log. But it's also not my thumb.
I'm sorry, Brinley. They know that we sent you on this delivery. I fear Operaeblum is no longer safe for you.
Oh, okay. And I think, even though Gabor and Hattie are her contacts, who have been, pretty kind to her, all things considered, I still think that Brinley, for once, is starting to understand the concept of mistrust, and kind of looks at the tablet in her hand, and looks at them, and the basic function of the gravity blaster is 0-point energy. Roll to damage things at a distance with a blast of crushing force. And I think, and I'm willing to spend kick on this, combined with the impulse rig, where you roll to, among other things, give yourself a boost of speed, very much like a ninja throwing a smoke bomb. Brinley whips the tablet at Hattie and Gabor, crushes it with her grav gauntlet, and then hightails it the other direction.
Shit, okay.
Yep.
Damn. I think I'm going to let this offer ride without a roll.
Oh.
Gabor and Hattie instinctively dodge out of the way, and the tablet whips in a circular motion between them. And then I'm almost picturing it like as if from a sudden force from above flattens into the ground. And you can like smell like smoky burnt plastic as it just like completely gets crushed. Instinctively again, Hattie rushes towards it. Gabor turns back, but you are already gone, rushing around the corner of the hallway and out of sight. Where does Brinley go?
Brinley takes all of the back ways that she knows, and she does. She's very familiar with the towers by now, and all three. Very much the secret ways, vents or tubes, or even just going outside. Like she has her ways, and I think she does go back to her apartment, but not the front door. Brinley, hearing that Operaeblum isn't safe for her anymore, she has taken that to heart. And even though she probably could have asked Gabor and Hattie to help her hide, given that they, know how to make people disappear, etc. But she made her choice, and it just sort of is panicked, looking around her room, grabbing. Like, I think that's what she slides into, like, a window into her bedroom, and grabs whatever she can, extra clothes, like a water bottle or something, like a granola bar or like a protein bar.
It's a protein granola bar. Extra quinoa.
Right. And then I think the last thing she grabs is one of the Sweet Valley High books that she brought for her sister. And, like, leaves a little note of, like, had to return this one, Davney. Sorry, XOXO, Brinley. And she's gone again. I think kind of instinctively, she moves towards Trinity Municipark.
Yeah.
That is the way out. Even though there are thin zones all over Operaeblum, that's always, traditionally the one she's gone to. And she knows that if she tries to contact Goldstar Disaster on the Nexo chat, Shimmer is watching. It may be secure from the towers, but there's no way it's secure from Shimmer.
Yeah.
And so she does all she can think to do and takes like the blank copyright page out of the Sweet Valley High book and grabs a pen and writes, "Hey everyone, I have to go. I'm really sorry. Please don't follow me. It's very dangerous. Don't trust Shimmer. Don't trust the arborists. Sorry, Maeve. Take care of each other. XOXO, Brinley." And she stashes it in the little hidey hold where they put the nega-friction coils that they had gathered so many runs ago.
You stash the note. There is still one of the 6 negafriction coils you found that day in Vestige, safely tucked away in that hiding place. The other 5, of course, were distributed amongst the 5 of you. You stash it away, replace the tile. The fountain looks immaculate. You look around Trinity Municipark one last time, and then you turn towards the thin zone that you know will take you to Prismatia. And before you punch through, you hear, "Brinley, wait." And you turn, and you see Hattie rushing towards you. And she says, "If you need to go, we want to make sure that you don't have to come back."
Oh. And for the first time in her life, Brinley makes an inference based on a cryptic information.
Hattie holds out her hand and says, "If you're wondering how I was able to find you, it's your coil. It leaves a pretty big signature when you have way more negafriction than you can possibly use. Either give it to me now, or promise me you'll ditch it."
I'll ditch it.
You promise?
Absolutely.
Okay. There's one other thing. The matter of your tether.
Yeah.
Hattie reaches into a bag at her side, pulls out a sheathed, curved dagger with the symbol of the arborists on the sheath and on the pommel. Are you ready?
Yeah.
She pulls the dagger out, raises it above her head, and says, "Breathe." And then she brings it down in one smooth motion, and you feel the slice of it move through you, but not through your body, through you. And as you continue to breathe through this, not pain, but pain feeling, and then this cold feeling, you suddenly can feel the heartbeat of the multiverse and of Operaeblum. You feel the connections between the dimensions, like veins carrying blood through a body. You feel each individual part. You feel their importance, their connection to each other. You do feel a little bit of sickness. There is something here in Operaeblum. You know without thinking about it that it's not irrevocable. It's not something that can't be stopped or mitigated. But you do know that it is there. And you feel, for the first time, it's so strange. You didn't know it was there until it was gone. But there was always that connection. Back to Operaeblum, back to Lansdowne Tower, back to your apartment. And for the first time, you feel that that was there because you feel that that is gone.
Whoa.
Whoa, indeed.
I think Brinley, without really thinking about it too hard, gives Hattie a hug.
Hattie will hug back.
"I'm sorry I crushed the tablet. I panicked. Thank you. Be careful."
You too, kid. I'm sorry it went this way.
And, Brinley kind of, scrubs her hand across her face. She doesn't like crying. And takes a deep breath. And punches through to Prismatia.
And with that, we go to our closing scene. Over the next several shifts, a series of events take place. Across the many screens of Lansdowne Tower, an ad begins to circulate. It's a picture of Brinley, altered to be black and white with a soft filter over it. The text reads, "Have you seen Brinley Zirk?" with a phone number along the bottom. A contingent of arborists arrive from Thenis Spar. The story pitch to ordinary Operaeblins, Lablins, you may call them, goes that the arborists are here for a routine check-in with the Assyrium Temple and Operaeblum as a whole. The story begins to fall apart, however, once arborists begin to be seen patrolling the halls of the towers alongside sword sliders in full militarized garb. News breaks in Lansdowne Tower. Post Host has been shut down for criminal activity. Video footage plays of Arachne Jam being led out of Post Host in cuffs by sword sliders, while voiceovers of news anchors report that illicit goods have been traded from Post Host to all 3 towers of Operaeblum. Every single one of these illegal deliveries is revealed to have been made by Brinley Zirk. A public summons is issued by the arborists of Thanaspar for Brinley Zirk. Shocking video footage is revealed. Brinley, standing on top of a decrepit bus in Vestige, facing the person taking the footage. She's holding something in her hand. The video has no sound. She reaches into her pocket, pulls out a silver arborist orb, and throws it towards the camera, a look of desperation in her eyes. Electricity erupts in the frame, and the video statics out. Across the screens of every tower in Operaeblum, an ad begins to circulate. It's a picture of Brinley, filtered with harsh red lighting, and it even looks like her face has been altered to look like she's scowling. The text reads, "Have you seen Brinley Zirk?" with a phone number along the bottom, the hotline for the Sword Sliders. Media personalities with shiny haircuts and crisp suits argue over whether Goldstar Disaster is involved. How could they not be, some argue. Others insist that they're good kids with a mission to bring the towers together. In spite of artificially impassioned arguments, they all come to the same conclusion. With the hero of Lansdowne gone, the residents of the towers collectively hold their breath as the future of Operaeblum hangs by a thread. Okay, and with this episode, we bid farewell to Glenna. Thank you so much for being on the podcast with us. It has been such a joy to tell this story with you.
Thank you for having me. I remember when we started this, I was like, I don't care if 0 people listen to this podcast. It sounds like so much fun, and I can't wait to do it with my friends. And I'm sad to be leaving, but it's been a hell of a ride. So thanks, Laena.
And this ride absolutely would not have been as amazing as it has been without you. We're going to miss you so much, but we wish you all the best.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. And I thank you for joining us on this journey. And I hope you're excited about where everything goes next. I know I am.